Hi there, I'm Andy Skinner, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you a very simple watercolor technique using the new Let the Adventure Begin stamp. And for this we're going to be using the Cosmic Shimmer water-based inks. So without further ado, we will pop down to the desktop and I will begin. So in this tutorial we're going to stamp with the Let the Adventure Begin stamp. So we just want to remove the rubber stamp off of the acetate, pop that to the side. We're going to pop this onto our acrylic block. You want to make sure you're nice and square. Okay, and we gently push down just to adhere the stamp to the block. We will pop our sentiment, I think with this just below, and then gently push down. Now we're going to take some jet black archival ink. Make sure your ink pad is nice and juicy, it's not dried out. And gently tap all over the surface area of the stamp. Okay. If your pad's well inked, you don't have to tap down too hard. Just gentle taps, just make sure you got everything covered. Okay. Pop your lid back on your ink, pop that to the side. And now we're just going to lower the acrylic block, making sure it's nice and square on your cardstock. Lower it down, push gently, and release. And now we have perfectly stamped image. Okay, so we'll now move on to the painting. So we're going to use the Cosmic Shimmer water-based inks. I'm going to use 4 colours for this. I'm going to use the mushroom grey, the cold steel, the cobalt blue hue, and the French mustard. I'm just going to pop a tiny bit onto my palette of each colour. You only want a very tiny amount. Okay, so there's some cold steel. Here's some mushroom, cobalt blue hue, and the French mustard. These pipettes in these bowls make it so easy to decant. There we go, French mustard. Right, we'll move those to the side. Now you want a soft brush, and what we're going to do is we're going to pick up some of the cobalt blue here. Okay, I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of the mushroom. Add lots and lots of water. Okay, because we want this to flow. Now I'm just going to fill this in to the sky area, avoiding the stamped image best you can. Okay, the more water you got in there, the easier it's going to flow, and you avoid lines. Okay, just be nice and loose with this. Don't try to be too accurate. The looser the better for this kind of watercolor effect that we're doing. A little bit more water. I'm just going to fade that down to the path. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the, no, we don't want French mustard, we want steel. Put the cold steel and the French and the mushroom, and we're going to run that onto the ground. I'm just going to fade that out below. Okay, so we're just going to let that dry, and then we'll start painting the detail. There we go. Okay, so this is dry now. And what we're going to do, this is household bleach, thin bleach, and a cotton bud. Load some bleach into the cotton bud, and any of the ink that's spilled over into the image, you can just remove that with a cotton bud. You bleach that out. Now that's okay for most of the colours, but some colours like the hot magenta, it might be difficult to bleach out, but I'd say 70% of the colours you can do this with. Okay, So now what we're going to do, using the bleach again, okay, load up your cotton bud. I'm going to take some of the bleach off onto a piece of card, and we're going to start to add a few clouds. So we're bleaching out the blue sky, just in areas. Go lightly with the cotton bud. You can always add more bleach as you go, but I recommend just starting off lightly and just working a few clouds in random areas. Going to take a little bit more bleach off. So the more the bleach you take off, the less ink it will remove. And I'm going to continue over the whole of the sky. Now, you'll notice that the bleach isn't affecting the black archival ink that we've stamped with. It doesn't touch the black archival ink, but be warned, other colours of archival ink, the bleach will affect them. So make sure when you're doing this technique that you're stamping with a black. I'm going to add a little bit more. Take the majority of the bleach off onto the card and just continue. And you can use the bleach for other techniques as well. So you can actually pick up the bleach with a fan brush and you can spatter into the ink, which is a great effect. And another technique with the bleach is you can produce bleach runs. So you want to load a brush up with some bleach, hold the card vertically, and just let the bleach run down the card, and you'll get bleach runs. It looks really cool. Okay, we're getting there. You'll notice that I'm using the cotton bud in circular motions. You'll find sometimes circular motions give you a bit more of a fluffy cloud. So I think we're nearly there. I could go on all day with this, but I think that's about it. Okay. So I've put the bleach away. I'll just give this a few minutes to dry. So the bleach is now dried. I've got a wax paper palette that I'm using. Okay, we're also going to need some fresh water, clean water. And the first colour of the water-based inks we're going to use is mushroom grey. We only want a small amount. There we go. Make sure you screw the top back onto the bottle. You don't want to knock that over. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to the mushroom, just thin it down. And as I look at the picture, I imagine that the light's going to be coming in from the right-hand side. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side of his shorts, and it will be darker there. And as I move to the right-hand side, the paint will get thinner and lighter. So really, where the light's going to hit that side of his body, it will be lighter. I'm just going to darken it up slightly, working back to the left of the shorts again. There we go. And now I'll repeat the same process with his hair. So darker to the left-hand side, working out lighter to the right-hand side. Okay, now I'm going to add some French mustard. Again, we only want a very tiny amount. And I'm going to mix that in with the mushroom grey. I'm just going to add this to his hair. It's going to kind of brighten up the brown on his hair. It's going to, bit like the sunlight's hitting it slightly. And I'll work that across to the right. And I'm also going to add this as a kind of base coat to his boots. Okay. And also to the little teddy bear. I'm going to leave a little bit of a white space around his belly, but we'll work on that more towards the end. Okay, I might just add a little bit more to the right hand side of his hair. Perfect. Okay, next colour we're going to use is cobalt blue hue. Again, we only want a small amount. So this is going to be the colour of his shirt. So lots and lots of water with this. Okay, and I'm doing exactly the same again, imagining the light's coming in from the right. So we're going to be darker on this left-hand side of his shirt. And as we work to the right, we're going to thin the paint down, which will give a natural kind of look, of the light coming in from the right-hand side. There we go. So that's nearly pure water now. I'm just blending that across. Trying to get a nice gradient coming across to the right-hand side. I'm just going to darken up slightly to the inside of his sleeve, where the light wouldn't naturally hit there. Okay, so the shadow. Also going to add the shadow to the other side of the sleeve and under his collar. I think I'm just going to fade the shirt out just a little bit more. Just blend that across to the right hand side. That's it. Good. Okay, so the next color we're going to use is buff. I'm just going to dispense just a small amount. We don't need a lot. And use a fine brush. And we're just going to apply this. I'm going to apply it to his legs, his arms, and also to his neck. Just a quick note on these inks. You shouldn't go by the colour that you see in the bottle. Okay, the colour you see in the bottle is completely different on many of the inks to the actual colour when it's painted. So always look at the swatch on the bottle for a reference of the colour, okay, and not the colour of the ink in the bottle. We spent a lot of time and effort with these labels on the bottle to get these swatches as accurate as we can to the colour when it's painted. And it's also a good idea when you get these inks to make a swatch of all the colours, your own colour chart. And I do this with my watercolours, my acrylics, my oil paints. I'll make a swatch so I know exactly the colour it's going to be when it's dried. Okay. There we go. Okay, the next colour is dark walnut. We only want a small amount of this. Then I'm going to add some water. Okay, a little bit more. And I'm just going to add shadows now to his boots. Okay, so the shadow on the left-hand side of his boots. And now with the same colour, I'm just going to add some shadows to the teddy bear. Remembering the light's coming in from the right, so the shadows are going to be on the left-hand side. There we go. Now, I'm just going to mix a little bit of mushroom grey with some buff. I'm just going to add just a few shadows to the left-hand side of the boy's legs. Very subtle. And just blend that in. Okay, we'll have a quick clean up, remove the palette, and just get ready to add some final touches. Now, this is the thin bleach that we used earlier on. And with a fine brush, I'm just going to use this to add a few highlights. So the right hand side of his hair, just going to add a little tiny bit of a highlight there to take out the colour. And then do the same on the side of the teddy bear. And also remove a little bit from his belly. And then remove a little bit on that right hand side of his shorts. A little bit on the side of the leg. Good. Pop the lid back on the bleach, move that to the side. So now I'm going to place a sheet of parchment paper, okay, underneath the card. So next colour we're going to use is cold steel. So drop a little bit out. And what we're going to do a little bit of spattering. So for this, I'm going to use a liner brush. I can be quite accurate with a liner brush. So add a little bit of water to it. Pick up the cold steel, water it down a little bit. Give it a test, and then just spatter around the bottom of his legs, just moving up slightly. There we go, just nice and delicate. You find with a liner brush, you can get quite accurate with the spatters. There we go. Just have a little clear up. And what I'm going to do is grab a picture mount. I'm just going to lay this over the top. Just give you a nice idea if you wanted to frame it, put it in a frame. Okay, thank you so much for joining me in this, and I will see you on the next tutorial.